welcome back to the channel. You're watching Unbiased Magic Reviews, the most objective magic review channel here on YouTube. Today I've got a requested Mentalism book review for you guys. I'm going to repeat that one more time. Requested Mentalism book review. So if you like this content, I would urge you to subscribe to the channel. Give me a thumbs up. It just shows me that you're interested in this, and I'll do more reviews like this. So today I'm taking a look at Mentalism Presentations by Azan Makdumi, and this came out about 2 years ago. You can still pick it up from your favorite magic dealer for $60. Now, many people have messaged me and asked me to review this over the past year and a half. It has taken me a little while because I've read the book from cover to cover. I've road tested many of the different ideas, presentations, and routines that are in the book. That's why it has taken so long. As usual, I have no disclosures. Nobody sent me this book. I have no affiliation with magic companies, which is why you can trust what I'm telling you guys, because this is unbiased and objective from my point of view, from me road testing this stuff out. Now, first thing I'm going to tell you guys about the book, if you haven't already figured out, is it centers on presentations of mentalism. Okay, I would say that it's more for the intermediate mentalist and not for the beginner. Beginners will be discouraged because you're not going to learn a lot of methods and techniques. More than anything, you're really going to learn presentations in the book, although there is some techniques and methods that are discussed in the book. So I would tell you guys that I didn't think that the book was groundbreaking, but I did think it was useful. So there's a number of positive and negative things I'm going to tell you guys about this, and hopefully by the end of this video you'll get a good idea of whether or not you want to pick this up and you want to try it out. So we're going to first start out with what I think the book got right. Okay, so I thought it had a lot of useful presentations that are based on modern day pop culture that people can relate to. So you'll find that a lot of these routines and presentations have to do with TV shows and movies that even you may not be familiar with, but probably your spectators are. So when you start talking about some Netflix show, they might, you might not know it well, but they probably know it, and it will help facilitate you to go right into your routine. I thought that the justifications that he gives you in many of the chapters were very useful, especially the sections that have to do with billets and center tears. I thought it was really useful there. I liked that he stuck with the classic methods of mentalism, and that's because nowadays there's so many other weird and strange mentalism props that are put out every day. A lot of people, they're scared of doing billet switches for some reason, and I guess it's because it's a lot easier to use self-working magic, although I would stress that what Darren Brown says in Pure Effect, where he says that those strange looking props add to like a visual compromise, or what I would call visual noise, because you don't want your spectator to be paying more attention to your weird looking custom deck, trying to figure out how it works, and not paying attention to what you're presenting to them. So I really liked how the author in the book, for the most part, stuck with things like billets, peaks, center tears, swami, peak wallet. This is the foundation, the basics of mentalism, and they're the classics of mentalism. There's a reason why they are classics, and your everyday spectator is not going to question why they're writing down something on a little piece of paper when you tell them to think of something and say, here, just write it down here, fold it back up. They're just going to do as they're told, because they want to see what you're going to do next. And later on, when you use this to verify what they thought of for everybody that's watching, it's going to make sense why they even wrote it down. But if you're the type of person that you're really worried about what they're going to think, or you want to justify why they're doing it, then you're going to really like the book quite a bit. So I think that that's really what the book got right. Now, in terms of what did the book get wrong, quite a few things. I think that there's a couple of sections that probably could have just been left out. The author tries to describe the technique known as acidus novus and the center tear, and I thought that those two sections should have just been completely eliminated. You cannot teach Acidus Novus in 2 pages. It's not going to work. The center tear, he briefly goes over an idea of how to do a center tear where you steal out the center portion. And the best center tears are those that you get an instant peak, instant access center tears. So I would urge people to just ignore that and just learn a good instant access center tear, because it looks a lot more natural and it's a lot more useful. And then you're not gonna have to figure out when you're gonna peak at the middle section that you stole out. So I thought that section of the book really could have gone. I thought that some of the presentations were a little far-fetched. You have to just check it out for yourself and see, but some of them, they just weren't really believable. I didn't like that when you get to this section that has to do with billet switches, there's a disclaimer and he talks about why he doesn't like billet switches. And he says that like most mentalism routines that use billets require you to do multiple billet switches. And I thought that that really isn't necessarily true, whereas there are a lot of mentalism routines with billets that do require more than one switch. A lot of times the other switch is done as an innocent move, like just going to your pocket to get another billet. And so the spectator will never even suspect that you've done something. They're not even going to suspect it. It's going to look like you just took out a billet out of your pocket. And so for that reason, I think that the author really should just take a look at their own mentalism and see if their routining isn't very good, because good routine mentalism, the spectator's never going to even feel that you switched the billet right under their nose. They're never going to feel that at all. The billet's not even going to matter. It's going to have no importance. It's just going to be there. You know, it's just going to be like a tool to verify to everyone what they were thinking, so that way they know that they're not working with you. That's really what it is. It's really just there. It has no importance unless you give it importance, you know. Anyway, I just thought that that really didn't need to be there. There was another section in the book where he goes over excuses of excuses of when to go back to your peak wallet to get a peak, and that's because a lot of peak wallets require you to go back to the wallet to get a peak, and unfortunately those are poor peak wallets, and I would urge you to skip those peak wallets and instead buy one that you get the peak without having to reopen the wallet. You know, I've had this discussion with a lot of mentalists, a lot of people that are interested in mentalism, because it takes probably 5 or 6 peak wallets and a couple of years of road testing for you to learn which peak wallet is the best for you. I would argue that really the best peak wallets are those where you don't have to reopen it to get a peak, and those peak wallets that have other tools included with them. Tools that would enable you to do a one ahead or one behind effect, stuff like that. So that's the type of wallet you really want to look for. If you want to know more, you can just message me about that. But I thought that section really didn't need to be there. And the section on the playing cards and mentalism, again, I thought that several aspects there really didn't need to be there, could have been omitted. You know, the first thing he talks about is he says that the idea of having spectator peek a card and then reveal it is like a bad idea, and that's actually one of the strongest ways you can use a deck of cards, is having a spectator shuffle the deck, let them peek a card, and then reveal it the way you want to reveal it. It's very, very strong. If you've never done it, you know, try it out and you'll see it for yourself. So I think the author may be a little bit off on that. There were several effects that the author presented themselves that were like their own version of classics that, again, I didn't think they needed to be there, and that's because they weren't any improvement on the originals. He had an any card, any number effect, which doesn't improve, you know, the best versions that exist. He had a virtual tossed out deck, again, doesn't improve the classic versions of tossed out deck. He even had his own ideas of his own kind of version of Bob Cassidy's Name and Place, which if you read it, you'll be like, oh, I would never use that. So you may have to just check that out for yourself. So overall, I would tell you guys that I would use about 4 of the routines that I read in the whole book. The vast majority, you're probably not going to use. And I'm just giving you an idea of what I mean. there were several routines that had to do with the presentation of deja vu, where he tells you to have the spectators all close their eyes and you peek the information while their eyes are closed. Like, it's not practical. You're not going to use that. There's another routine. It was called something like couple challenge or something like that. It was with a peek wallet. And in that routine, he tells you that you need to also use the digital force bag to force something on a spectator. So again, it's not practical. You're not going to be using all these tools. And if you don't even have the digital force bag, then you're going to be like, that's useless to me. So that's just a couple examples, but you're going to find as you read the book that there are a lot of these routines that probably aren't very useful to you. And the other two areas that I thought really were lacking in the book was there was no presentations for propless mentalism. I thought that that was really bad because a lot of us like propless mentalism, and I think that he could have included some, presentations for propless mentalism. And the other thing, which was probably the glaring deficiency in the book for me, was that he didn't make any of these presentations personal. And the reason I say that to you guys is because I found in mentalism that I perform that when I make the presentation personal about the person, about their life, their circle, and that stuff, that's the strongest mentalism I can perform, because people are most interested in themselves, of course, themselves. So anyway, those are the aspects of the book that I think could have been improved significantly. In terms of what were my favorite parts of the book, like what did I think, if I were to tell you, if you were to pick up the book, what would I tell you to go and check out in the book, right? You don't want to read the whole book. What should you check out in the book if you don't want to read the whole thing, right? I'm going to tell you guys. So for those people that like Acidus Novus, check out the section where he talks about the commit yourself card. It's in the very beginning of the book, where he shows you there's a picture of it and you can just copy that, and it's perfect for those people that like Acidus Novus, because a lot of times you have to come up with a reason of how to fill out the rest of the card, and I think you're going to like that a lot. I really liked just the whole beginning section that was called Write It Down. Those 7 presentations that are really more than anything justifications of why people are writing down the information that they are. I think you're going to like that a lot. In terms of the routines, there's a couple of routines I thought were really good. There's a routine called Perfume, which is likely probably the best routine in the whole book. It's really, really good. I think you're going to like it a lot. It's very well justified, everything that you do. So I think that's one that you might want to check out. There's another one that I had mentioned on another review of mine, which was called Cut to Score, which uses a Swami in an unorthodox way, different way than we're accustomed to. I think you're going to really like that one a lot. There's the Souvenir Billet, which was really good routine as well. The peak is super simple and it makes sense, everything that you're doing. And then finally, there's another routine which is called Spectuition, which I thought was really good because in that routine you have multiple climaxes. And again, the peak is extremely well justified and very simple. It's a very simple routine, but something that you'll probably use. So those really are the 4 routines I would recommend that you check out in the book. I think you're going to find that those are really good. The other thing that I would say that you may want to take a look at that I would recommend is all the way in the back of the book, there's a bonus section called Failsafe. And for those people that like to do mentalism with their phone, he does provide you with a link to a shortcut that you can download where you can do a book test with your phone with your favorite PDF or your favorite website and whatnot. And so it's really simple and straightforward for those people that like to do that. I thought that was a nice bonus that he included in the book. So that's pretty much the most important things I wanted to go over. Let's quickly take a look at the rating and then I'll give you guys some final thoughts. So here's the rating of the book, and you can see that I think I gave it a fair rating at 3.54. It's still a positive score, and I think if you're really interested in mentalism presentations, I think that you're really going to like it a lot. You could see that I felt that the book still left out quite a bit of things that it should have probably included. But taken as a whole, I think that this definitely is really good for those people that are struggling with their presentations of mentalism in general. So as usual, if you guys have any questions about this or anything else I reviewed, just leave me a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, because it shows me that you're interested in this. And if you did find this useful, just let me know, just because it helps me in terms of my future reviews. I did notice my last review, I didn't get a lot of comments, so I figure you guys aren't interested in that, so I probably won't be sharing many more routines like that I find, you know, in terms of those card routines that I use all the time, because it seems like people aren't interested in it. But that's just my take based on, you know, the feedback I get from you guys. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next review.